Hey there. Ritual here to give a big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. The magic of those family moments, that was you. And now there's new milestones to prep for in 2025. This new year, check clean, quality pregnancy nutrient support off your to do list with Ritual. We've done the research to create science backed pregnancy support like our prenatal multivitamin, natal choline, and fertility support, all designed to be taken alongside each other. But don't just take our word for it. They're also third party tested for microbes and heavy metals and Clean Label Project certified. So whether you're trying, thinking about trying, or already there, we don't have to tell you that prioritizing yourself can be the hardest part. That's why we're helping you get started today with 30% off a 3-month supply for a limited time at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. This new year, get clean, quality pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list, including Ritual's best-selling Essential Prenatal Multivitamin, designed with 12 traceable key ingredients to support a healthy pregnancy. With big changes coming up, take the small steps now and start today with 30% off a 3-month supply at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Hey there. Ritual here to give a big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. The magic of those family moments, that was you. And now there's new milestones to prep for in 2025. This new year, check clean, quality pregnancy nutrient support off your to do list with Ritual. We've done the research to create science backed pregnancy support like our prenatal multivitamin, natal choline, and fertility support, all designed to be taken alongside each other. But don't just take our word for it. They're also third party tested for microbes and heavy metals and Clean Label Project certified. So whether you're trying, thinking about trying, or already there, we don't have to tell you that prioritizing yourself can be the hardest part. That's why we're helping you get started today with 30% off a 3-month supply for a limited time at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back here to Kickin It With Knuble. Very special episode here, Mike. Long-time Philadelphia Flyer, teammate of yours on the Deuces Wild line, Simon Gagne. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us today. And how you doing? How are things?
You're welcome, guys, and I'm doing really good.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Simone. It's good to catch up with you.
Well, it's welcome. It's been a long time, Mikey.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's a huge honor, and obviously we're thrilled to obviously be able to sit down and talk with you. When I was planning out these questions, I was kind of curious to kind of figure out where to start. Obviously, you were a Flyer for a long time in 2 stints. Obviously played with Mike. Obviously, I guess we'll start there. Any favorite memories just kind of playing with Mike and on that line with you and Peter, the Deuces Wild line?
Yeah, boy, right away, you thinking about her friend Peter Fosberg. That was her sentiment. We had a great chemistry on the ice, but the thing that people don't know, we we're pretty close of the ice too. We had a good relation of the ice that I think that kind of bring that energy on the ice too. So as a line, if you have that, it's make things. I don't want to say easier, but that you're having fun playing together, you're having fun off the ice. I'm not saying like having fun, it's not going have a drink and something like that, but like we always try to go and have dinner on the roads together and with other players, but like 3 of us, we spend a lot of time together, and it's funny that it's been a long time since I spoke with Mike, but I saw some video that you guys post last couple of weeks, and it was really fun and good memories to see those nice plays that sometimes you're it's hard to believe that happened, and we had a blast playing a year and a half together.
Yeah. No, it was good, and yeah, I mean, I think to your point, you got along great off the ice and on the ice. It wasn't just show up and work. It was, you have fun on the back of the bus and be in the same seating area and hours, on buses and trains and airplanes and stuff. So you're always kind of like get to know each other better. But I think I was proud to play with those guys and have a chance to do that and got to, came to his smarts right away, got us there pretty close, right to the start of the season. So it was good. We got going together quickly in the start of the year, which was always a good thing. Sometimes those things can take time to find. Coaches find the combinations and they know they might be there, but eventually they get to them. But it's always a treat when they get to it. They get to they get it together and figure it out pretty quick. So one of the things I noticed right away was, who Simone was as a player. He scored a bunch of goals for Philadelphia and kind of coming in there and playing against him or whatever. But how well he shot the puck. I think when you get with teams and then you practice with players and you see them repeatedly and not just take 1 or 2 or 3 shots a game, but when you see them take a dozen shots or 20 shots in a practice, then you can really get an idea what they do. And so
Right.
Simone was really in a nice spot as a player, and the puck was jumping off his stick and he could shoot. He shot it really well. And you could tell that first couple of times, going down the wing, going down doing a drill, watch him finish. Like the puck had eyes and it was going in. So that was pretty much one of the things I noticed right away was his ability to shoot the puck, which was not appreciated until I got there.
Right.
So it's flattering hearing that, but I think your line was a combination of a lot of great things. Like Mikey was bringing a different aspect of what I could bring and what Peter was bringing to that line, and I think that's what make lines having success in a season and even like a season and a half. And most of the time, like Itch was her coach, but like at one point he's gonna try different, combination. But I don't think it happened often with her line. We kind of, like you said, Mikey, we start right away day one at camp, and it clicked right away. And I don't think we change a winger or a centerman that year. Maybe when Peter got hurt once in a while, but
Yeah.
So that's you don't see that. It's rare that you see a line staying together that long. And I remember that year was another line in the league that had success with the line in Ottawa. Alfredson, Eatley, and Spezza. If you remember, like, and that was the line that, for whatever reason, in my mind, was like we want to be better than that line. So it's always fun when you have like competition around the league. It's bring that that willing to get better, and that I think that's why our line had success.
Yeah, it all different. I mean, the combination. I'd try and go get pucks, and Peter was so good one-on-one. It's interesting to learn to play with him a little bit. I remember trying to come over once, just kind of trying to help him in the corner, and he's yelling at me, "Get out of here! Like, give me room," and he'd love to take guys one-on-one. So you just kind of wait for him to do his thing, and then he pass you the puck or whatever. But your training was to go help, and he's like, "No, get out of here! I got him right where I want him." So he was a fantastic player, and he talked like it was only like a year and a half or whatever we played together, and just with injuries and stuff like that happening to him mostly. And I don't know, he had good years in him. It's just his foot and his ankle was holding him back. And I kind of wonder what could have happened, if we'd been able to keep him healthy. But he was thankful for the time I had with him anyway.
He, like you said, it's funny that you say that, because I learned pretty early, the first couple of games that we played together, that Peter liked to have 1 or 2, maybe even 3 guys coming at him. So I learned right away that I need to get open somewhere, at the right place. And most of my goals was like far away from Peter, but I knew that he was gonna get out of there and find me at one time, and you learn that right away, that he was a special player. And like you said, it's too bad that injury, his foot, if you remember, like we had some good conversation, the three of us at the restaurant, like at one point, he want to stop playing because of his foot. He was going to get the surgery and missing a part of the season. And we're trying to say, no, you're good. I don't know. We don't see that, on the ice. You look really good. Look good in practice. Why are you saying that you have trouble with your foot? It's working, but Peter was like, I want to be 100%. I don't want to be 90%. That he was a special player, every time that he missed a game, we got lost a little bit because we used to play the three of us together. We had Peter Nedved, I think, that we brought in, to replace Peter once in a while.
Yeah.
He was good. Peter was a good player, but not like Peter Forsberg. So the game was so much easier with him.
Yeah, it was real easy.
Yeah, no, I mean,
take it for granted when you're playing with him, for sure.
Right. Yeah, no, and I feel like too, like when fans like look back and stuff like that, it unfortunately it sucks because, like, as you guys were saying, I mean, Peter only played, I think it was 100 games as a Flyer. Obviously was drafted as a Flyer, was, traded right away for in the Eric Lindros deal and all that too. But Simone, just kind of going off that, you scored probably two of the like biggest goals in Flyers history. 2004 in Game 6 against Tampa Bay, and then 2010 Game 7 against Boston. I'm trying to figure out how to word it because both goals are just so incredible. Like, obviously, like, 2010 is the comeback, and you guys are down against Boston and everything. Game 6 against Tampa, that's a game away from the Stanley Cup final. You guys are forcing Game 7. Just got to take us through kind of like your mindset on both goals and kind of how you were feeling and things like that.
There's two goals that I'm always going to remember, and the feeling of scoring a goal, and especially the one in 2004 was at home in overtime against Tampa Bay. And like you said, that goal or that win brought forced Game 7 in Tampa. Unfortunately, we lost Game 7. But before that game, quick story, Bobby Clark kind of challenged me in the paper that he was waiting for me. In the paper I'm waiting for Gagne to get a big game. And it kind of, I was pissed when I wrote the article. It was saying I was not playing good and that I need to step up. And, but I don't know if he knew that I was going to respond like that. I scored early in that game. I don't know if it was 1 or 2-0 or 1-1 at that time. So I scored early in the first, and I got that OT that game. So I don't know if it was trying to get something from me, but it worked. I had a pretty good game, and so all that make that goal really special for me, special for the Flyers, for the fans. But every time you score a goal in Philly, especially in the playoffs, it's special. But in overtime, it's crazy. The building was so loud, and the other one you're talking about, is that the one in Game 7 or Game 4 against Boston, or?
Yeah, Game 7. And then
Game
you're
7.
right. I mean, you had two in that series. You had two huge ones.
Yeah, but the one Game 4 against Boston at home, like I said, every time you score a goal in the playoffs in Philly in that building, it's crazy. It's loud. It's the best feeling in the world. And the one in Game 4, even if we're down 3-0, it just gave us some hope. Just win that one, and you never know what can happen. Now we know that we came back and we won Game 7 in Boston, but it was the start of something. And now knowing the next step, we went to the final, and Fortunately, we lost in Game 6 in overtime against the Blackhawks, but that was a really, really special run. And now it's like I said, I think that group's always gonna remember that special run. And like I said, at the end it sucks, but that was the best run I think that I had my whole time in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are exciting. I mean, did that series, I mean, that was the year after I left. So I went to Washington, and I remember we were, things went really well there. We had a President's Cup trophy and all that. And I remember getting dressed to go to like a party to celebrate that, and you guys getting in, Boucher, winning in a shootout and to get in, right? Is that same year? Is this all the same year? Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like,
and then
it was a special year, like
yeah,
you lose that game, you're not in.
Yeah,
I know. And then you go through and you have Boston on the ropes, and then did somebody make a guarantee during that? Did somebody say we're coming back? Was that you? No. Okay.
No.
I didn't know.
I'm not Mark Messier. I don't think you're allowed to do that. I think.
I know.
Whoever said something like that, maybe Ovechkin did that in the past, maybe.
Yeah,
but,
I don't know. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, with the Boston team in its heyday, there, like, they just they're pretty strong team. A lot of guys in their prime, and just to steal it from them like that, it feels really great. As when you're on the Philly side, and not very good when we're on the Boston side, but certainly a thrill. I'm sure that.
But they learned.
A big
Boston
big
learned
moment
from that, Mikey, and they end up winning the cup the year after.
Yeah.
So that's, we all know we played a game, and sometimes you need to lose to understand, or having a bad taste in your mouth, and and the next day, the next year, they had pretty much the same team, and they end up winning the cup, and I think they faced. I was gone the year after, and they faced the Flyers in 2011.
Yeah, and they swapped them. Yep.
That time, I think they won in 4 or 5 games. So
yeah, they swapped them that year.
It was something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then, so you're talking about after that year you left. How did you go to LA then?
No, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay 1 year.
Tampa first.
And LA after that.
How'd you end up in Tampa Bay again?
I had 1 year left on my contract, and
Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I had a no trade clause, and it's special to say that, but after that run and those special playoffs, Omer came over and he asked me, to move my no trade clause, and if I was willing to move my no trade clause, and when a GM come and said something like that to you after what you went through, and I play with a broken foot that in those playoffs, I was getting numb every game, so it just pissed you off, and I said, I don't want to say the word, but I said F, yes, fuck, I'm gone. If you don't want me, but I have to say it was tough. I had some demand, and it was a couple of teams I was willing to go, and Tampa Bay was on top of that list because of players that I know there, and Eisenman was a GM, and Guy Boucher was the head coach. I knew really good Vinny Lecavalier, Martin Saint Louis, and they had a good team, and they wanted me. So for 1 year, so let's go there. It was a nice place, and that team was struggling making the playoffs, and they want to make some change, adding some veteran and good players, and I want to go there for that challenge. And that year we made the playoffs, and we end up that year losing Game 7 against Boston, conference final. So that was a really good, cool experience. And I had my daughters born in Tampa Bay, and every time going back to Florida, bring those memory back.
Right.
Yeah. Good. What can you now as a GM? Can you see where he's coming from on those on that deal at all, or is it still like
Yeah,
now that you're on the other
yeah,
side, you understand
yeah,
like how it works a little more.
yeah,
You love a guy, and I said I love you, but I gotta do
yeah,
this.
yeah. It's you know what, and even after I stopped playing, I remember thinking about it and try to think how the organization or Omer and the staff was thinking about it. And I had 1 year left, had some injuries. You might be one hit away, to stop playing hockey
Yeah,
because had eight, 7, 8 concussion in my medical report. So, um,
yeah,
so you want to get younger, and I knew they were trying to get better back there. I think they had the defenseman that was making quite good salary, so they had to deal with the salary cap.
hmm
But now I understand a little bit more because I'm doing that now. It's a junior team, but now when you make trades, you're thinking about the future, and now I saw Homer after even the year after I saw Homer in Tampa Bay, and we had a good talk, and was behind. I told him that I understand why he did
yeah,
it, and but at that moment when I had that phone call, that was tough to swallow.
sure,
Yeah.
sure.
No, for sure.
Then from Tampa, you went to LA. Did you go to
I
LA
end
then?
up
Is that when you went
Yeah, I
pro?
end up
Yeah.
testing. I was free agent, so I end up for the
Uh-huh.
first time see what it is to be a free agent, and on July 1st, and I end up signing 2 years with LA, and oh, it was fun. Different situation. Going play in the West. My old career was in the East, close to home, like
hmm
easy to travel. No time zone difference,
hmm
so it was a little different. But I had a blast there too. Living in Manhattan Beach, close to the beach, and it's funny that we talking about that today. You know. Talking to some players and some people that live there now, they with what's going on, they see that
Yeah.
the fire, like even Santa
Yeah.
Monica, Malibu, like it's really close to where we lived, and no, it's crazy, but no, let's not talking too much about that. But like in my time there I had a blast. It was a really fun lifestyle and a good place to play hockey, and we end up winning the Stanley Cup that year, and no, it was a great moment for sure.
Were Mike Richards or Jeff Carter on those
Yeah,
teams at all?
yeah.
Were they there?
Richie,
Yeah, they're
Mhm.
yeah.
that
Oh
that
my
year,
gosh. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
year, if we're going back a little bit, that at the draft, the Flyers traded Mike Richard to LA, and
Mhm.
the card C went to Columbus.
Yep.
Yeah.
So when I end up free agent, I got a call from Justin William and Enzi Kopitar,
Mhm.
um, asking me like, what do you think coming to LA? And Richie was there. Richie was my sentiment the last couple of years in Philly, and I liked what they had as a team, and it was fun. Terry Murray was the head coach. John Steven
Yep.
was
Yep.
the assistant
Yep.
coach. Ron Extall was the assistant GM. Lombard, Dan Lombardi was the GM. So it was almost like
Mhm.
we call it like Philly West, Flyers West.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and that year, at trade deadline, we trade for, I think it was Jack Johnson for Cartsy, and so Cartsy came in
Yeah.
after
Came
the
in.
trade
Yeah.
deadline. So it was special to reunite with some old teammates and winning together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny that LA thing. I had that leaving Philadelphia. That were one of my main. I ended up going to Washington, but you talked about being on the East Coast and really doing that. But now it's kind of like, yeah, I just got a little bit more time on the East Coast. But LA would have been certainly fun and kind of lifestyle changing, and a whole different world. So yeah, I kind of wonder what would have happened if we did that. I mean, I'm happy with the way things turned out, but if you had done that, that would have been interesting too. So
Well, that was one thing that I don't want to say I was scared of, but like I was like hesitate was the time zone. Like it was fun because
yep,
at you're going for dinner at 6 o'clock in LA, but you're talking to your parents or your friends and family back home. It's they going to bed, you know.
yeah.
So I was kind of, you know, not a little bit scared, you know,
Apprehensive. Yep.
but I
Yep.
end up like to be really fun and life over there was crazy. You know, I was walking down 5 minutes from the beach. I was going to Starbucks, now
Mhm.
walking down on the
Yeah.
sidewalk, you know, on the boardwalk and you
Yeah.
know, weather was like perfect, you know, not too hot, not too cold, you know, it was just perfect. And the building over there was one of the nicest building in the league at that time. So and
Yeah.
like I said, they end up with a championship at the end. And you know, Mike, you had one in Detroit, and doesn't matter where you won and how that happened. You know, it's special lifting that cup and having party
Mhm.
with your friends and your family back home after that in the summer. It's no, it's
Yeah.
hard to describe.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. No, it's great. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Just to kind of take it back, Simone, and any stories just from your first year in Philly? Obviously, your line mates that year, Brecky and Bremberg, and just kind of coming in and playing with two guys of that high end caliber.
Yeah. Well, that first year was really special. You know, it's where to start. You know, if you're asking me what memory or what season was special for me, you know, that year was really special, and I always
Yeah.
gonna remember like you know getting treated like all the veterans, all the players were trying to help me. You know, I was coming from Quebec, not speaking English too much. There's Eric Desjardins was there with me. Mark Bureau was the only two French guy. You know, like I was able to have a little bit of conversation with them. But you know, Dan McGillis was a guy from Ontario, but he was a French English, so he was able to helping me a little bit. And that time we didn't have any cell phone, so
Right.
remember living next door from the Coliseum at that time because we didn't have any skate zone yet. We used to have that old Coliseum where we practice and Dan was calling me in my room to pick me up for having a ride to go to the practice rink. And but like I could go down the list. I had a bunch of guys that helped me that year. And Roger Nilsson was our head coach. And I got drafted as a centerman, and I never played wing before. So I started the season as a centerman on the third line, I think, or even fourth line once in a while.
Mhm.
And this is Roger came over and said, "Hey, what do you think if we try you on the left side, you know, on the wing? Did you ever play there?" I said, "No." I said, what do you think if we put you on the second line or first line? You'll play with better players. Let's try just for 10 games. I'll give you 10 games. It's normal. You might struggle once in a while, but you're gonna adjust, and we're gonna help you with video, doing some video and stuff like that. And I say, if I have a chance to play with Mark Rickey or John Leclerc or Biggie was there, Eric Lindros was there, and so why not, you know? And I did, and it turned out pretty good. I never went back in the middle after that. I played my whole career as a left winger, and so that's a quick story, a little bit special now when you're going back because now I'm the GM of a junior team, and I draft players that their whole career they want to play center. You know, all those
Right.
young kids they want to play in the middle. I bring that story now to my young kids here and telling them that, hey, you need to be ready, you know, to play on left side, right side. You never know, you know, you might have that chance one day to play in the pro, but it might be in it might not be in the middle. And so that's funny now how the circle is coming back.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, just trying to come up with little stories to get them to understand, right? Yeah, it's not Yeah, you're probably not gonna get there the way you wanna get there. You're gonna get there how they wanna use
Yeah,
you and, like, how you're gonna fit in, and so, to your point, I think coaches these days, you've gotta can't pigeonhole players, and you say, "Hey, you gotta learn to play left wing, right wing, center," you gotta be able to the more availability you have, the more different things you can do is, try to explain to the kids, "This is the reason why you make a team, and this is why you don't make a
yeah,
team, because, this guy can do things you can't do." So, the more things you can have, uh the more weapons you have in your arsenal, the better off you're going to be, and it's hard for kids to
no,
understand,
yeah.
but
At this age, it's
um,
hard, but
you
you
know,
know, when you have
yeah,
example like that and they understand a little bit more, in these
yeah,
days they need to understand why, and you need to explain them why. And this is
yeah,
the communication. It's really big now in hockey, especially for those young kids.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Just kind of transitioning over a little bit. Obviously now it's times are different. You're obviously GM in Quebec. When you look at the Flyers and kind of look at where they are in their rebuild and stuff. Obviously, Danny Briere, Keith Jones, they're kind of taking over. Dan Hilferty as well. Just any thoughts on kind of where the Flyers are at, and those guys kind of coming in, and obviously Danny, being a former teammate
Yeah,
for not just not just you, Mike, but also Simonto and the both of
mhm,
you guys.
yeah. I like what Danny's doing with Jonesy, and since they've been there or they took over, I like the direction. I always try to go once in a while in Philly, and going back there for a weekend, watching the Flyers, or try to catching the a game of if the Eagles are in town.
Hmm.
And one thing I remember, like going back like 4 or 5 years ago, uh, one thing that hurt me a lot was watching a game in this building with empty seats. And never happened in 11 years I was there with the Flyers. It was always sold out, and it hurt me to see that, and it was not just like 1,000; it was thousands of seats,
Yeah.
empty. And that team was just like going nowhere, and I think bringing back old teammates that I played with or old Flyers taking over, I think knowing what it is to putting that jersey that you have on right now, understanding what it is to play for the Flyers, what it is to play for that city, the fans, that support us, good and bad times. I think they all the moves they made, but just like I'm sure they brought back the fans in that building. Sometimes it's not on the ice. Maybe you don't see the result on the ice, but off the ice, what Jonesy and Danny did, and all the rest of the organization of the Flyers, they brought the fans back, and I start to like what they do as a team too, what they build. They go in the right direction, but the world patience is going to be important for the Flyers, and I think the fans understand that. And if they have to trust them, they're going to do a good job. And this is what I see from the Flyers right now, and I'm sure that in a couple of years they're going to be a top team, a contender for a cup, and hopefully they're going to get it because the fans deserve a team in the playoffs every season. It used to be like that, and it need to be like that.
Right.
You don't like to see the Flyers not making the playoffs, and see the Flyers. When you look at the how you look at the standing, when you see the Philadelphia Flyers in the bottom, you don't like to see that. We're not used to see that. So
Yeah.
yeah. That's quite the process there now, but yeah, Jonesy and Danny are being pragmatic about it. They move slowly, and make moves when they can and make thoughtful decisions. So they, and Torch push the buttons, like they give pretty good, pretty gritty efforts, and it's a fine edge whether they're losing or winning hockey games, and it's one mistake here or there that tends to blow it, tends to either blow it up or help it along. So, but they're young and they're going, and they got to make hard decisions down the line and how you're going to improve this team. And obviously, the salary cap's not as easy. Just going out and gathering players, you got to build some, you got to get lucky with some, and you got to draft some, and you got to do some free agency work. So, yeah. So I mean, you see that as being a GM, it's not as easy as just changing out a player or two. There's all kinds of factors in there.
And I'm not sure if they still have a long-term contract that still hurt them down the road, or they're finished with all those contract.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Like
some
dead
guys
money or
right
whatever.
now,
Yeah,
like, yeah. I know this year that they have some dead money tied up in guys and stuff. I think that's been part of why they've been a little quiet this year too.
yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like,
Mhm.
I know they were handcuffed with some salary, and it hurt them because we all know that they like to spend against the cap, But
Yeah.
now I think I'm pretty sure that they must be like the last year or maybe one more year stucking with those
Yeah.
call it bad contract,
Right. Yeah, no, for sure, you're right, and especially, like, you still have, Ryan Ellis, who they have to use on LTIR and things like that, so, like, sometimes it's hard, and I think that's the thing to judge it, and I guess to kinda go off that too, um, I'm just kinda curious, like, it's hard to judge, I guess, because, obviously, like, the fans wanna win, and the Flyers haven't had a home playoff game since 2018. So, like, obviously, you have to try to, get back into that window and things like that. And how, just kind of going off it, like, how hard is that? Is that to judge, I guess, with, trying to make the playoffs, but also having to kind of rebuild at the same time and be able to kind of, put yourself in a position where it's like, all right, we have to kind of do this for a couple of years. And kind of like how you were saying, with all the dead money and things like that, like as a GM, like how hard is that to kind of, judge all those things and, in one basket?
Yeah, well, I'm sure like Danny's is having a staff that knowing Danny, I'm sure it's not a one-man show. I'm sure he's working with a staff that he's got there. I know like Sharpie and John Leclerc are involved a little bit there too. I don't know the rest of the staff, but I'm sure he's got a bunch of guys that now they go and brainstorm and thinking about what we should do and stuff like that. And I think as a team, it doesn't matter what league you play. If you're looking at a team that you rebuild, I'm sure you're willing to make trades to get better and making a push, but doesn't hurt your future or might help you now, but not only now, but maybe more long term than short term. So I'm sure that's a little bit what they're looking at when they want to make a trade. They want to make big trades to improve, get better, but will help them in the future as a long term, not short term. That's something I think, Danny, I'm sure fans need to understand that. You don't want to make a trade short term that's going to hurt you, with picks or down the road just to make or having a push making the playoff, because the truth, it's hard to make the playoffs now. All the teams are good. It's hard to win. Like in my time, in Mikey's time, we could go in, to I don't know, Carolina and that time, or even in against the Trashers and take it easy a little bit in winning the game, But now you can't do that anymore. All the games are hard to win, and so making the playoffs just to make one round, and I don't know. I'm sure they all thinking about they want to make the playoffs, but they need to be smart about what's the big process, what's the plan, and I'm sure they have a plan right now.
Yeah. Okay. This one, so the other night I was doing some research and stuff, and I heard a story about the night before draft night for you, Simone. Your dad took you to dinner, and again, just correct me if I'm wrong here, a Canadian scout came by and said that if you were available, that the Canadians were going to take you there. Is that true?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was a scout for the Montreal Canadiens, but
Mm.
if we're going back there, the draft was in Buffalo, and I was ranking, I don't know, was 14 or 15, something like that. And Montreal Canadiens was around that spot. And it was one of my teammates, Eric Chouinard, that we played together here for the Rampart, the Quebec Rampart. We had a pretty good season, both of us. And Eric was ranking maybe like 12, something like that. Or we were really close in the ranking. And was a lot of rumors that I was going to get drafted by Montreal. No, making a quick story, Eric Chouinard got drafted, but the way they announced the thing, because the story is kind of true what you're saying, because my dad came to me and he said, I think you're going to be drafted by Montreal. I got some couple of people came over and said they know for sure you're gonna be drafted by Montreal. So you kind of okay, it's must be true. And like when you're in the stand, you have camera coming over and in the stand and looking at, so like it's you or somebody else. And camera came over, but I'm not sure if it's for me. And the Montreal Canadiens go over on the stage and said in French, but in English, the Montreal Canadiens are proud to select from the Quebec Rampart. So right now you're still in the mix, and Eric Chouinard. So for a couple of seconds, I thought it was me, and but it ended up, turning really good for me. Couple selection later, I got drafted by the Flyers, and it turned out pretty good for me. And the funniest thing, it's I never met the Flyers. Not even one one-on-one with them. I met all the teams, almost all the teams, but never met the Flyers. So when they went on the stage and Clarkie went, doing the selection, knowing the Flyers at that time, Biggie, Lindros, Leclerc, 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". I was like 235, a big team, and I was 6 foot, 6'1" maybe. I'm not sure if I was 6'1" at that time, but my weight was like maybe 160, 170. So I said, no, it's no way I'm not a Flyers, it's no way they're gonna draft me. And end up, getting drafted by the Flyers. I was a little bit surprised, but like I said, it turned out to be the best thing that happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So what did you end up going?
22, right? Yep,
22. Yeah, 22.
Wow, 22 that late. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. How do you think? Would you have wanted to be drafted by Montreal? Would that have been fun to play there? Are you happy? You happy you got out and see a little bit?
I guess going back, like I said, it's always special, when not saying that. First of all, I'm from Quebec City. I'm not from Montreal. So growing up, I was a Nordic fan. Montreal Canadiens was like the enemy. I didn't like the jersey. I still don't like the jersey. I still don't like them. So, but I remember that day, when you hear the rumors and stuff like that. We all know getting drafted by Montreal and you're French Canadian, you're gonna be like a big star. It's gonna be really special. Yeah. They're gonna know who you are, the next day. So you got that, but I turned the page really, really quick, and like I said, going back, it's the best thing that happened to me was not getting drafted by Montreal, going to Philly with the Lindros, Leclerc, Desjardins, Mark Rickey, Preems came over that year. I could go down the list. Chris Therrien, Dan McGillis, Brian Boucher was there. Was his rookie year, but like the group was so special. It helped me like to feel comfortable right away, and know what it is to play for the Flyers, what it is to play in the NHL, what it is to be a pro of the ice. Not sure in Montreal, the team that they had, would do something like that with me. So now I'm thankful for now I'm thankful for it.
Yeah, that's good. It'd be hard. I mean, I was drafted. I'm a Michigan kid. I got drafted by Detroit. Different kind of, and then played at Michigan, so it was kind of all in the same backyard. But that's certainly the Quebec, Montreal draft pick. That's a different type of pressure and different type of, feeling that comes along with that. So it's probably good to get out and see the world a little bit and kind of work quietly. There've been a lot of demands on you. Had you been there as a young guy, it would have been really, really, really hard. And whether you're a young guy and ready for all that attention, positive and negative, it's a lot. So maybe Philly was a little bit better place for you to kind of do it a little bit quietly, not so quietly, but a different kind of quiet.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think you're ready for that. I don't think it's possible to be ready at whatever 18, 19 years old to face that. Even today, I look at the first pick, the Montreal Canadiens that play for the Montreal Canadiens. They have pressure. You're the first pick of the Montreal Canadiens. It is something. Like I said, they know who you are. But they expecting big things from you right away. And I'm sure now players having a little bit more help by the Montreal Canadiens. But in my time talking to Eric Chouinard, he didn't have really help. He had his family, friends and agent, but you're not ready for facing that type of music at this age. Even today, I think. But I'm sure they have help now, but it is a lot of pressure to be a first pick for the Montreal Canadiens.
Oh yeah. Where conversely, you go to Philly and you have so many personalities there. So many guys and so many guys that attract all the attention. You can just kind of work and figure your stuff out and figure out you're not going to be a center like you mentioned before. You're not going to be a centerman anymore. I'm going to be a winger and work on that. If that happens in Montreal, then all of a sudden you're on the failure loop. Like you're a bad pick. Especially if you got drafted as a center and they decide to move you to wing. It's like, but in Philly, you kind of make that move quietly and with with a lot of help too, guys. Big E is your center. That's a good wing to be on. So no complaints.
Well, we had a pretty good, and that was the thing too that Roger kind of brought in and sold me in was like, you're gonna play on the power play too, and I'm gonna tell you the players that we had on the power play was Eric Desjardins was on top. I had Eric Lindros, Mark Rickey, John Leclerc was in front of the net, and I was in kind of bumper, you call now. So that was every time I was going on the ice at 19 years old with those guys, I was like, wow. I was here playing junior with the Rampart a couple of months ago. Now I'm with those big guys from the Flyers, and I had a blast. That first year, for whatever reason, always gonna be special for me. And we had a good run too in the playoffs that year. We lost against Jersey, Game 7. So we were one game away to go in the Stanley Cup final, and we had something special to that year. But that first year is always it's almost going back, even if it's far away. I always gonna remember almost every moment of it.
Yeah. It's quite the crew. A lot of Hall of Famers, a couple Hall of Famers on that. That's pretty good, man. I would have been to the group killing penalties against you. Yeah. We need some dummies out here. Okay, can we get out here? Yeah. If we were rookies together, I would have been out there killing penalties in practice, and that's it. Then scratch for the game.
You were in Detroit or Boston at that time?
Detroit. Yeah. What year is that?
99.
99. Yep.
Oh no, I guess it was in New York. Yeah, it was New York Rangers. Yeah.
Oh, you went to New York and Boston after?
Yeah. Detroit to New York with Wayne. Wayne's last year, and then an extra year, then to Boston. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. I mean, outside of that, I mean, that's pretty much it. That's all we got, Simone. Thanks again for taking the time out of your your day and your busy schedule, and best of luck rest of the year, and thanks for doing this.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. And
thanks a lot, Gaggy. That was fun, buddy. Good to catch up with
always.
you. Good luck this season with your team.
You. Appreciate it.